I'd like to welcome everyone to the latest Santa Cruz Software Labs podcast. We have a distinguished panel of international guests with us today. I'd first like to introduce Frédéric Sanuy, co-founder and CEO of Activo from France, John Horodyski, managing director of AVP in the United States, Ralph Windsor, publisher of DAM News in the UK, and I'm Mark Hilton, co-founder and CEO of Santa Cruz Software Company. Thanks for coming. This is going to be a very interesting conversation. So the topic today is what to expect in the DAM space in 2026, with particular focus on AI. But before we get into the AI stuff, because I think that's, everybody wants to jump right into that, what are some of the other hot topics and issues that we should be looking for around DAM in 2026 that are not really AI related?
I mean, you are correct, Mark, that AI is that sort of the topic du jour, but there's other things going on. Two things I would love to touch upon is integrations. Let's talk more about that. We live in a very connected and potentially sometimes a disconnected world. More and often I'm hearing from clients and people in the industry and at events about that, not necessarily connected, but the disconnected space. Love Mark Brinker. I love his MarTech landscape map that he puts out every year. But if there was anything that could be more stress inducing is to see that entire thing and then have clients go back and go, well, how do I'll even fit into that type of stuff? And I do think that's interesting. So I do think 26, we're going to hear a lot more about integrations. And then another trend I confident I will see more of and hear more of, all of us will, and that is legislation. Remember, 2017, when just the year before GDPR came in 2018, I think we're equally in a place right now where we are seeing legislation coming in both in Europe and the United States talking about artificial intelligence. And the trend will be content authenticity, trust, provenance. Is my metadata culpable under legal formats? Paul just wrote a great article on that myself. I'm like thinking this is excellent timing. So I do think we're going to hear a lot more of those words going into 26. AI's there, but the stuff around it, those human components to it, I think we're going to ask a lot more questions beyond the technology. It's those types of emotions that'll come out. So that's what I'm thinking for 26.
Cool. Fred, got anything?
I would like maybe to highlight one thing, because that's something, especially here at DAM News, and Ralph, I think, can prove that. The DNA of a DAM is an engine of the assets and metadata, okay? And something we see here, beyond the trend, is sometimes we have new DAM vendors. It's not because you have thumbnails in a window that you are a DAM system, okay? So I think it's very important, and I see here because by Activo, more or less, we are working on customer side with different DAM systems. And sometimes I'm a little bit shocked that some DAM system at the enterprise level in Gartner, Forrester Ward, etc., they have some difficulties to ingest large files, TIFF files, EPS files, or just a simple video, okay? So, and at the end of the day, everything starts from the assets, okay? And I'm very surprised sometimes that people say, but why do you need, I don't know, something like a 20,000 pixel images? Yes, but sometimes a blonde luxury wants to get highlight on some details, etc. So I need more than a small JPEG. And today, even this type of camera or this one, okay, it's minimum 45 million pixel sensor. Okay, so that's one thing. The metadata one, it's difficult for me to talk about metadata alongside John, but I think also we see more and more because by DAM News also in Activo, we are committed with CEPIC organization, IPTC, C2PA, and that's also the reason why of that thing, because it's super important, as John was saying, to track the assets, and especially alongside AI, etc. So, but by the way, we see also some weaknesses from DAM vendors alongside the ability to customize metadata, to manage translations, just to be compatible with IPTC. I said sometimes this one of the standards we have since the last 15 years, and IPTC started in 1965. Okay, and that's for me the only standard we have. So if a vendor is not capable to support that, but what the hell? Okay, so it's really for me core foundation. Of course, I do agree with the ecosystem. And to be honest, on our side, 80% of the time we are starting with a PIM system. And more, you can see this here PIM system, even if it's a little bit weird. They say now we have an asset management. Why, gosh. But we have limited to 15,000 assets. We are limited to 2,000 width pixel. So it's not a DAM. Or is it a DAM? Okay. So, of course, the connection between DAM and PIM especially is so important by where, of course, if you are a museum, if you are a gallery or something like that, you don't care. But where is the money? Where's the money? And not the painter. But by where, something we have to say is, yes, for sure, metadata is super important. And I'd like to see much more attention, and especially for the Gartner and Forrester of this world. It's not because you have some customers as vendors that you have to be somewhere in this map. We have to say the truth to the customer. So that's my point of view.
Ralph?
Love it.
Yeah, just on the metadata and the intersection with AI, there's a whole bunch of vendors who've been telling people that you don't need to worry about metadata anymore. The AI will deal with all of it. They're going to have a very nasty surprise, and so will all their customers. Yeah, I mean, I'll talk about that later on. It's interrelationship with AI, but yeah, you still need a DAM that can do proper control vocabularies, complicated schemas, and all this business-specific messy metadata. It's not going away. It hasn't ever before, and it's not going to now.
Yeah.
Cool. Before we actually dig into the specifics of AI and what AI and so on and so forth, I'm curious what your perspective is of what is DAM's role in the delivery and use of AI?
I can start with, because if your AI is a tool, and AI does not think, okay? So, but by where, as soon as you want to add some, I don't know, something, yeah, some tools or improvement or user experience in the DAM, as of, I will say, the last year, it was more or less a cloud of keywords. And if you are speaking French, forget everything, okay? So it's not a user experience that, because most of the time on our side, we are deactivating everything, okay? And so I will say at one time, we are very tied to our taxonomies, control vocabularies. And I would like to see AI can bring a lot for the DAM, but you have to be smart. You need to think about smart assets. And I know that some guys are talking about DAM 3.0, 4.0. I don't know which version of a DAM, but by the way, I think the most important is really, I'd like really to see some connections between the AI things and the taxonomy, okay? But by the way, we see some improvement, and especially this year, it's not a lot of all the vendors, but some AI agentic things. So we saw some very cool demonstrations. The issue is that we have no clue about how much it costs. So it's just something at the top. So it will solve your problem. Oh my goodness, that's cool. So we see some improvement, even if, to be honest, because at the end of the day, I'm more doing PIM than DAM things. I see much more improvement of their usage of the AI, of their new capabilities to automate, etc., to enrich in PIM system than DAM. But so maybe this is one of the challenge of next year. And maybe the last thing I was thinking about, because I forgot also to say that we see more and more vendors, they try to transform the DAM system as a CMS system. So it's about brand management, etc., guidelines, etc. And very often in RFP today, but I think John can be a witness in this world, people, they want to customize everything, personalize, etc. We saw also something, and especially in the digital space, they want to transform the assets, to do mass templating, etc. The issue is that most of the systems are using InDesign, and InDesign is not capable to manage that because this is for the print. And so maybe I think this is a subject more for Mark, but that is a couple of things where maybe AI can bring some enhancement, but I need to know the price of that.
John or Ralph, do you have a perspective on DAM's role in delivering AI?
Ralph?
Yeah, it's DAM is it's the least loved enterprise technology. I think you can come across. It's one of these
That's
things
fair.
that everybody says, "Oh yeah, no, it's not going to be around now. Now all this AI stuff is going to mean it no longer exists." And now it's going to come back with all this stuff about provenance and authenticity means you need a DAM, and more than ever now. I think the role is a bit confused because it's kind of like there's the generative side of things, but then the generative AI is based on existing materials. So where's that come from? And there's obviously the archived assets, which you can't completely replace with generative additions. So it's basically this sort of backstop. Oh yeah, we still need one of these things, even though we thought we didn't. I think that's going to be Dan's role in AI.
Yeah. So from Santa Cruz Software's perspective, I think this is a really great. The AI provides a really great opportunity for DAM, because I think, as Ralph just pointed out, I think to a lot of people, a DAM is really just a place to store assets. In today's world, with you're talking about either generative AI or even just using AI to find locally relevant content, the source now is the DAM. And so one of our roles as a vendor is to make that integration. John, you brought up integration earlier. Make that integration between the creative tool and the DAM, the source, much tighter, so that as a creative person is working in Photoshop or Illustrator or Figma or what have you, and they want to generate localized content, they can now go directly from their creative app and the content directly into the DAM and get the branded source, the source that is truth, and not just some internet rendered image. And so there is this opportunity that AI is driving, where the creative tools and the source of the content and its metadata can become one and make that a much more effective tool through use of DAM and through the integration of these tools. So that's our perspective on what DAM's role is now. Again, playing off John's point about integration.
Yeah. Ralph, I'm a little bit on your side of that. Where's that DAM love in 25 and also 26 and going forward? Where's that love? I think to answer your question, Mark, I mean, there's so many ways to think about this. I don't think we truly know yet. So my retrospective of looking at the year is, where are those case studies? And I'm looking at you vendors, like, where are those? I'm also looking at the community itself. Now, Ralph, I did look at your DAM news for the last year. 4 articles on AI, 3 on Gen AI, agents, composable AI, which in there. Thank you for being that, for allowing that discussion to happen. I looked at the Journal of Digital Media Management. They had a few on AI and agentic AI, but I need to see more case studies, because a lot of people are still going, this sounds exciting. I don't know how it's supposed to work. We hear from clients at conferences, people saying such words as "I'm bombarded," with what the technology could do. People are saying their executive team is like, it'll solve the world's problems. Oh, goodness gracious. I don't think that, but I don't know exactly where it can be used. And I'm excited to see the idea of agentic AI. Goodness gracious, that is powerful. An autonomous agent happening in the background. there's lots of implications for that. But here I sit in December 2025 looking at this, and I'm still very much in the unknown. I want to see more. A lot of stuff has been said. I need to see some really good case studies on how it's being used. Is it being used on the analytic side? I sure hope it is. Is it being used for search? I really, truly hope it's being used there. Is it helping asset tagging? Je ne sais pas. I hope so. I think probably it is. But I do need to see a little more on the examples in the case studies to really see where it's going. And I'm looking at 2026 for that, right? Let's get more of those out so we as a community can learn.
Yeah, that actually brings me to my next question, which is what parts of AI will be most impactful or most influential in the use and the purchase of DAM in 2026?
Well, I just spoke, but I would love to hear Frédéric. What are you seeing? Or you have a lot of clients in different industries. What are you seeing?
Yeah, for sure. Of course, today it's difficult to start an RFP without some. As soon as the RFP is not done by ChatGPT.
Good point.
Yeah, I think it's not really a private joke, because I see so many things coming. Suddenly, some guys they are doing RFPs, but by the way, yeah, for sure it has an impact. Regarding the to be honest, today the business model I see here, it's a little bit blurry. One thing I can say, one as Jobs was saying, we vendors, they always have to keep in mind, just like for use cases, what incredible benefits you can bring to the customer. That's the only question we need. Okay, and so when I see these AI things coming, for sure, one of the challenge we have to face with the DAM and customers is to retrieve assets, because you know what, guys, they want folders, because they have a PC, etc. And I will say 80% of brands, because they are using SharePoints, they are not doing any metadata at all. They know that it's there. Okay, number 3, folder number 2, etc. And for sure, something we saw with the AI and with limited impact of the budget is the natural language things. So I will say sometimes it makes people less idiot as they are. So when they are doing some spelling issues, etc., and especially even if you have a database, an asset bank without French metadata, the system is able to retrieve something. One of my fear today is more and more people, and I see on the customer on the daily basis, they said, okay, so we don't need any librarians and their manager, and especially in France, because the people there, they try to trust to the technology, but very often we have nobody in front of us. So it's good for us because we are selling services, but on the other hand, it's really a little bit of pity. So for sure, the business model for this natural language has a small impact, but it's a small benefit. Okay, as for example, we have a customer and we started with a PIM system, One, and something I think it's interesting. They started to build the data model thanks to AI, just using the metadata inside the system, not asking to somebody outside or ChatGPT or whatever. And when you are building a data model for a PIM, it's a challenge. And by the way, and I see by the way that we have some good things starting to inside the system. Okay, so maybe we'll get one day, and as usual, we are spending the time by any vendors, whoever they are, to attend their conferences, just like John is doing also every day. We see a couple of things coming to build a taxonomy or something like that. The only things for the budget is today it's a little bit blurry, to be honest. It's always an option, but for agentic AI, I have no price. And most of the time, vendors, they want to sell services, so they say we have a team of experts, and they will change everything on your side, just like this. Okay, what is the price? We'll see later. We can make a proof of concept, etc. So budget-wise, for me, it's not super clear.
Mm-hmm. I mean, to go continue with that, let's be very clear. I did a little research on trends for the year in marketing and other stuff. It's hardly a trend, if not a proclamation. AI powered content is definitely happening. If not, it could be de facto for many organizations. Whether that's good or bad is a different podcast, and let's all do that again. However, that being said, with much more AI powered content coming into the system, what's the role of the DAM and where could it be seen? I hear what we all want AI for is those efficiencies. Can you just make my job easier, faster, smarter, all those good things? So on the one side, I hear, can it help me tag a little bit? Sure, that is one area, but the other area, personalization will sneak in sometimes, and I think there's some opportunities there to explore. I'd love to see more of that, but I think it's the analytics side. If the AI can help perform some analytics, whether it's just quantifiable, decide what's happening, but if it can give you like usage statistics or something else, I like to see a little bit more of that. We'll always have people say it can tag better for me, but I kind of want to learn more about the analytics component that the AI can do for an organization, to which the DAM manager can take back to the marketing team and give some really good information. So that's what I would like to see, but I don't know.
And one of the what I would call low-hanging fruits from our perspective is in the area of localization and translation. So if you imagine in today's world, digital marketing, global companies having to roll out new marketing campaigns on a much higher rate in a much more broadly global sense. AI can help that whole process by doing much of the obviously the translation. That there's there's the traditional translation memory technology that helps, but AI can then add context, right? So translation memory is sort of literal, translate this word to this language. AI can help translate not just that word, but the concept of how that word's being used, and help the whole process of getting global marketing materials out at a much higher rate. And so from Santa Cruz Software's perspective, we look at this as an assisted AI, right? We're not looking at AI replacing graphic designers or whatever. It's about helping them. I think you mentioned this earlier, John, helping them become more efficient and effective, and help the company grow. And that is, to us, an AI win, and something that, again, the DAM space can play a big role in.
Yeah, I love the word you said, assisting, augmentation. That is where AI can really help an organization out. Thank you for sharing that. That was good.
Yeah, for sure. I think you're right, Mark, because this translation management, also we see here in the PIM side, or just also for the completion of our product sheet, it's super useful, by the way, and nothing you can put outside of any requirements, but it's a tool. It does not think, it's just to assist, etc. And I saw on marketing side from some DAM vendors, they are trying to find the right wording and say AI agentic assistant, AI agentic enrichment, AI agentic blah blah, etc., etc. So definitely, and especially something because we do have a privilege to run and test here the banner UI complete suite with automation, bug templating, etc. It's just magic. It's super fast, and even the way to of course, you need a designer at one time, but just to upload the Photoshop file doing nothing, they're getting the layers. You start from a square, you get the banner, you get different sizes, you get the translation in just one click. It's super fast. And for sure, nothing we can do in Canva as of today. So it's exactly this type of use cases John was talking about. It helps the people. It does not create. It does not think.
Earlier this year, we did a survey about users' perception of authenticity, particularly around AI. And not surprising, it was a big concern. It was a really big concern. So I guess what I would throw out to you guys is how can DAM help reduce that concern or eliminate that concern from a company's perspective, and then ultimately from a consumer's perspective?
Ralph, we need to hear you.
That's all right. Yeah. Um,
You have a
yeah. Good question. Yeah. I mean, again, we're dealing with the theoretical and the reality here. In theory, you've got a dam that stores all of these versions of assets, and there's an audit trail, and everything is nice and logged and transparent, and there's governance and all the rest of it. But in reality, I'm, I'm going to use an I'm going to try very hard not to use a bit of choice Anglo-Saxon here, I have to say, but yeah, it's nonsense. That's the polite way of putting it. So yeah, in theory, it could do all that and it could help out with that sort of stuff. But I don't think the vendors don't have the architecture isn't there with a lot of systems. If it is there, there isn't the vision with the implementation of it to do it properly. But so yeah, in theory, you could use the dam to do all this, but I don't think that's going to happen. Um, I mean, I have some other points and some wider points about AI, but I'll save that for another question. Um, but yeah, that's in theory, yes, the dam could assist quite a lot with this, but I don't think it actually will because I don't think there is the motivation on the user side or the vision on the vendor side, and it's up to us to do something about that. I think as consultants.
Well, tactically, Mark, I mean, you could, at the metadata level, you could start doing that. And there are improvements being made. We're all very familiar with C2PA, content authenticity. For those of you who are listening to this, who may be going, C2, what is that? Check that out, please, as a gift of the holidays from all of us to you. Go check out C2PA, please, going forward. But the metadata is one level where you could say, within the metadata fields, like this is the original, this is from this individual, this is for this purposes, etc. So the metadata could be that place to sort of show that authenticity. Trust is an emotion. It's a human word. It's a thing that we have. That's a different thing. And I think to help work on that is the governance. Now, again, here we are in 2025. I still see people who are like, oh, we should do governance. We should do that. Let's do that next year. Oh my goodness. Why are you not doing it already? So governance is another mechanism I think that an organization could put in
I
place
think
to say,
this is reality. And this is what we saw at Ondam. So we are used to say, and it's not coming from us, but from our CEO of Mission years ago, who was saying the success is 5% of technology and 95% of people and processes. And everything is happening, between the chair and the keyboard. Okay,
sure,
on time. And
people come out of this line, people, process, technology. How long's that one been in circulation? 20, 25 years? It's just, and it's 95% people, but actually 95% of the time is spent on technology.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I think by the way, it's always whatever the technology, whether the DAM, PIM, etc., CMS, etc. We are always struggling with the governance, for sure. It's all about the maturity of the people. So also something we see maybe more in Europe compared to the US is I'm just sometimes very tired to see that you can get 3-4 DAM systems inside the company. I do understand that you get one for marketing communication and one for heritage. It makes sense. But very often, just because sometimes people, they want to, or more or less because someone is coming, they want to do something. And we have some retailers, they have multiple DAM systems. So I'm not sure it is leveraging the DAM, because at the end of the day, you know what I see here? Because people are lost and all the assets are coming back to SharePoint. And sometimes I think maybe the best DAM vendor in the world regarding sales is maybe Microsoft. So, and in the meantime, we know that it doesn't work. Search is not working. Everything is terrible. So DAM for sure is, I think since a couple of years we are trying, and this is also our job, just like everybody around the table. We need to explain the impact, the benefits, the governance, etc., to make the dam successful. Something we can say the dam great again, or maybe.
So if I understand what I just heard, this is not something you guys are predicting that will happen in 2026. It should happen in 2026, but likely vendors are not ready to actually make this happen in 2026.
You know, I'm always watching the JP Morgan chart, which is more or less the next 10 years of evolution of technology, okay? And finally, year after the years, you see some shift inside the technology. We know how it's done. In the meantime, you need to process everything. Maybe it's not so good for our way of life of the planet at one time. We see some also just NVIDIA, the 5 trillion company here, putting more and more money in ChatGPT. So sometimes I'm not sure if we are really able to control something. By the way, I can see for the next future, next year, the DAM market is super fragmented, for sure. And I think that Raf we have a list, my goodness, just like this, okay? We know the chief market, as you said, with 25,000 of things. Some of them are dying, some of them we have new solutions. But by the way, at the end of the day, it's AI is creating a shift in the technology because you have to pay for that. We have the example of very smart French vendors that maybe John discovered during a dam. I like to say them because they don't have the exposure they need, just like Agilia, Ifotodam, etc. They are working with students. They are working to make something different, okay? But at one time, they don't have the money to do this integration, you know? And on the other side, you have some dam vendors. I will not say the name because they are more or less you just taking all the guys at the top right of Gartner. They are buying some other companies. They are doing fast integration. They are putting 100 million in 6 months, etc. So what is an incredible user experience? So it looks like that if you don't have the money, it looks like already a challenge. And one of my fears may be to see always the same usual suspects, and we see more and more in RFP winners, more and more the same guys. So it's really a challenge for the vendors, and especially on our side, the market is getting slow regarding a couple of things. Or I don't know, but it's regarding vision and strategy, or it's difficult for me to say what will happen in 1 year. To be honest, I'm just hoping to be there, and for the rest, I will see.
So you kind of brought me to my next question. What are some of the AI traps or issues that we should be aware of or be careful of to avoid as vendors in this space? Like, for example, overselling AI, right? That's a trap. That's something we need to be, everybody needs to be careful of. What are some, or we can dive deeper in that, or what are some of the other traps or things we should be aware of?
I've got one and it's a kind of massive, huge, kind of Grand Canyon-sized trap that Fred started alluding to in the previous point. It's the we're going to have basically a power crunch in AI because there's like all of this processing is going to require all this electricity, and there isn't the capacity to service it. If you look at something like I use a few of these LLMs, and like I think there's Anthropic Claude, which isn't bad. I've got the paid one. Even with the paid one, after an hour or so, it'll tell you, "Oh no, sorry, it's got to stop there. Yellow card, get off the field for a while." Of course, you can pay if you want to carry on. And some ChatGPT doesn't seem to do that. This must be surely partly related to electricity costs. So if all of these things are going to have this huge power cost, there's going to be increasing demand as more and more people are trying this, then these costs are going to have to get passed down to the users of the technology, which are DAM vendors, essentially. And I think that this is going to be one of the big traps with it, is that at the moment we're all basically paying or using AI on borrowed credit, essentially. And I think that at some stage that's going to have to be paid for properly. And I don't know how that's going to be met. Because I've heard, what was it, 64 nuclear power stations required in the US, something like that. In the UK, we can't even build one, So how is this going to... I think there's these bigger, wider macro topics which are going to filter down
Ralph,
inevitably.
I do agree with you because, I start my career as I've got a PhD in nuclear physics, or
Right.
the only thing I can say, you're right, by the way.
Thank you, Fred, for the expert opinion there. Yeah.
Ralph, did you get a chance to read Empire of AI by Karen Howe?
I haven't, no. I have to confess.
Well, for anyone, for those of us listening, excellent book I read this year, and it's very much on this topic that you sort of introduced, and it's all about sustainability. She herself, a political journalist, talking about this and the server farms, and it's untenable going forward. It's a huge, massive energy suck from the world. But to throw another spin, though, Mark, I think that there is potentially a disconnect. We at AVP are calling it the AI gap, that there is a disconnect to what organizations are selling, and overselling AI. Sometimes in the industry we oversell AI, but no one is truly prepared. The foundations are not ready. I think Ralph and Frédéric have also sort of hinted at that as well, that many of us are not ready. The foundations are not there to truly embrace and potentially do some, cool stuff with AI. That's our
yeah, and I do agree. And by the way, I think DAM can be a solution for that, because one of the trends we have today is, just remember a few years ago, you upload one file, you create renditions, etc. And just from one file, you get more or less, regarding the number of renditions, you get 25% more storage. Now we see more and more, and this is one of the key technical requirements, which something we are calling the dynamic asset transformation. Okay, and we have customers, especially in retail space, from one TIFF file, large TIFF file, they are capable to live on the fly create hundreds of renditions, and especially AVP format, etc. So from super large file, just one, but nothing is stored; it's on the fly. And I like the idea more and more. And we have some very great integration between DAM, PIM, and CMS headless, etc. And as we saw with some customers, we have from one DAM, we have more than 3,000 websites. We have e-commerce, Amazon, we have marketplaces, Miracle, etc. And one file is populated in more than 250 channels from one file. So, and sustainability-wise, I think this is the right path to take. And the last thing I would like to say, because we have Luc Juliat on DAM, this guy is from Siri, etc., but Siri is more or less dead. But by the way, he was more or less talking about these AI things. And one thing, when you take a picture from your smartphone, it's 160 watts. And sometimes people say, because we don't have also to say some green bullshit, you don't have to send the picture. But when this camera, this device is sending an image, it's sending a CDN link. Okay, so it's not sending images. It's just one, and this is more or less, this is a DAM, in fact, because most of the people, they have hundreds of thousands of things inside, and it's all CDN links. And I definitely do believe that DAM is the answer for this sustainability requirements.
Okay. I think we're pretty much at the end here. Why don't I throw it out to you guys to have one more last thought on any of these related topics, anything that you thought of while we were finishing up? Do you guys have any closing comments, closing predictions?
Well, I'll just say AI is not going away. Does anyone know what the most popular search term on Google was in 2025?
Ooh.
Gemini. No surprise. Interesting, right? Gemini. So it's not going from a public, public persona. It's certainly there, certainly, and then professional persona. It's not going away. I think DAM, the industry, the people, the technology behind it, it's interesting state of fluctuation. I think it's exciting to see things I call the DAM adjacents. A lot of new interesting technologies popping up that are beside the dams. You know, the Sesames, the Stag AI, Smint. There's some really cool stuff happening on the outside, but I'm seeing infiltrate sort of DAM technologies. But AI is not going away. So I think 2026 will be a time of maybe we call it the humanization of DAM. Humans are still very much needed. Ralph, you were sort of mentioning the people process technology thing that's been going around and around. But I do think 26 will be the human side of DAM will come into play a little bit more. And again, as I alluded earlier, with legislation coming through, with artificial intelligence acts, both in Europe and in the United States, I think there's going to be a very thoughtful, meaningful rediscovery of the business practice at an organization. What are we trying to do in our marketing, production, distribution systems? How can AI be used? Are we prepared? If we're not prepared, let's go get those foundations. But I think there's going to be a lot of more of the human side coming in. That would like to be my tip to the hat view for the future. So.
I like it.
Yeah, I do agree. Finally, I think it's Jensen is right. You know the sentence from "You'll not be fired by the AI, but the people using AI." So, but I think human is very important. By where it's important to, and this is our commitment by DAM News, Activo, AVP, and every year DAM experts to leverage the trust, the traceability. So it's always a challenge when you are trying to build a standard in this industry by way, but it's very important to put a human at the heart of their visitor user experience. In the meantime, there's still a place for human. We have just this week in France an advertisement from Intermarché retailer, 0% of AI, nothing, and 1 billion of views. This is completely opposite of Coca-Cola one, the one I was displaying. So I think that's a good balance, by the way, because human is still there. The creativity is between our hands, and we have here finally tools in front of us. So just like Shantanu is very often saying from AVP, we have to push the boundaries of creativity. And of course, I think it's we have good tools, but human is still there. And as we hope next year, by the way, to see something all together. Ralph?
As we've talked about, I think there's going to be a big backlash against the AI stuff next year because of all the macro reasons that we've discussed. There's going to be a lot of people backtracking, saying we're not so sure about it now, and a lot of moving away from it. And as a result of that, because some people are going to be required to put in some actual effort into creative thinking and thought processes about how to use this effectively, we'll actually get some decent technology out of it. Because it's the same with the technology industry pretty much every time. It's when people are pulling the money out is when you start to see something innovative and decent happening rather than this sort of over exuberance that you're getting now. So that's my prediction. It's going to feel pretty bad, but it actually might result in something quite good.
We live in interesting times. Let's just say that.
Absolutely.
I think 2026 will be a ride. I mean, Mark, you live it as well. I think it'll be an interesting year in the most positive way. I think it's going to be really interesting.
I agree. I think it's a great opportunity for the industry. I think it's a great opportunity for DAM to actually step up and, as we were talking about, don't make things about automation, make things about the human interaction, make things about authenticity, governance, make things about integration, I think those are all sort of some of the key areas that for the DAM space, these are opportunities for them to actually step up and take a leadership position. And I think it's just going to be great for everybody. So,
You said everything.
all right. So, thanks everybody. Thanks,
Thank you.
Rob, and John, and Frédéric for coming. Thanks for sharing your ideas. And we brought up actually just a quick plug for the Santa Cruz Software Labs podcast. We talked earlier about localization and translation. Our next podcast will be a deep dive on how AI can help us with localization and culturalization and translation of marketing content materials. So with that, bid you guys all a happy holiday, Merry Christmas, all of that. And
Yeah.
thanks for your
Thank
time.
you, Mark.